Okay, the last few things we have to talk about are discussions and polls. So you can actually add them in two ways. So if you want to add a discussion or if you want to add a poll to a specific page, so one of your pages that you already have over here, you would click on that page, add content block, and then here you could pick discussion or poll. Up to you if you'd use them. If you wouldn't use them, that's totally fine too. I like the poll option. It was kind of nice when we were doing distance learning because it was a way for me to get feedback from the kids on different things, since we couldn't really all get together at the same time, even on a Zoom. So it was an idea there. I really like discussions because, especially in reading, it gave a chance for kids to respond in a different way to assignments instead of like the traditional write it down, turn or talk, that kind of thing. It was nice because also the students could think about it, respond how they wanted, and then also other students could comment back. We, of course, had to have the conversation of what kind of comments we should have. They're going to do what they do, but it's definitely beneficial. So I'll show you. So you could pick to do an add a content block from here, or you can go to activities and you can choose discussion or poll. It really doesn't matter. Both way is going to be the same exact setup. But the difference is it's either going to go on a specific page or it's going to be held here in the discussion or poll section. So that's up to you. If you wanted it on a specific page, then you need to add it as a content block. So for this case, I'm just going to add discussion through activities. Here it will show you any of the conversations or discussions that I've already had with my students. One of the ones that we had to do, we're talking about explicit or implicit. I guess I could probably show that one. Or during distance learning, we had to do this. So you have an option. You can click here to see the discussion, this red, or you can click over here and it says view results. You can also edit here if you wanted. So if I go to view results, it will tell you who posted, how many times, if anyone rated their posts, and so on. So just kind of a quick overview. But if I click here, this is where I can see all of their posts. And then I can see any comments from students. I also can go through and rate it, like the post, and so on. Okay. So there's some options there. There's view options. So view like a thread, create a date, only thread with unread posts. So depending on what you're specifically looking for would depend on what you're doing. This one, I don't think the option's here now because the grading period is over and I'd have to reopen discussion. But typically there is an option here to grade this. You can actually grade them on their responses. So that is nice. You have the option to do that. So in order to create a discussion, you're going to come here. I'm going to just put something random in. Here would be where you're asking them to respond to something. And it says class discussion. The entire class participates in the same discussion, group discussion. So that would be where I talked about under manage class, edit roster, where you could create groups. So maybe this is only going to go to one reading group in your class. That's an absolute option to do. Or one-to-one discussion. Maybe this is a journal entry. Maybe it's a private thing that you want just between you and another student. Maybe it's something to help them through their grades or whatever it might be. Maybe you're a check and connect, whatever it might be. That's an option too. So I'm going to keep it just class discussion. You can choose when it's available to. So is this something that you want them to, maybe it's like an exit ticket and you want them to do it real quick right before they get out of the class. You can change the times, the dates. Security settings require students to post first before seeing others. So maybe if you don't want them to see other people's responses because you really want to get what their true thoughts are, that's definitely a good thing to pick, and then they can go back and read what other people have put after they submit. The next thing here is save in the gradebook. Do you want it to be worth a grade as well? And you can create your point value here. And where do you want it located? So here you can actually choose which page you want it located on. All your pages will come up. You can see I have a ton. And you'll pick wherever you want it located so that they can also view it wherever it needs to be. You can add files from Google or files from your computer again and hit save. It might not. Oh yeah, it did. Even though I didn't pick a page, it's okay. It will still show up here. Maybe I didn't want it on a specific page. That's fine too, as long as you're being clear on where your students need to find it. I wish I could show you how to grade them, but right now I can't because of the end of the grading period. It's not an option. That's why I was getting the error when I was creating assignments in that other video, was because when I went to view it, it said if you're outside the fourth quarter is already closed. So that's probably why I'm kind of getting some roadblocks here for this. So that's how you create a discussion. They're pretty neat to do with your students. And then the last thing would be polls. So again, you can create a content block for that, or you can go to activities, hit polls. Maybe you're already in activities like I am, so it's actually listed here too. Up to you. You can come here. You can see that I only did one, and it was to see if my kids would be interested in listening into a digital read aloud. So again, over here you have manage poll, edit, view results, export results, reopen. You want to make it so that they can respond again because the time had run out. If I go to view results, it shows you 4 wanted to read aloud, 3 did not. It will actually tell you who did not respond yet, which is really nice. It will tell you who responded and to which way they responded as well. So up to you. It's definitely a useful tool depending on what you're teaching and what you need it for. You can clear results, you can print them, export them, save them to your computer. So pretty cool way to do different things in your room. So to create one, again, you just hit add poll. What's your question? What do you want to ask them? What are their answer choices? Remember, these arrows are to move the options up or down. So maybe I have A, B, and C. Maybe I want this one up here. All I have to do is hit those arrows, and now it's moved where I want it to. Okay, or I can delete that option. I can add more choices. Who can vote? This was a bit tricky. I had it set to students only. And probably basically mostly anything that we'd want to do, we'd only wanted to have it set to students only because we don't really want parents voting on whether or not we do a read aloud in our class because it really doesn't apply to them. So be careful with that, but be clear with parents because a lot of parents are like, well, we're trying to pick this, but we can't. And I'm like, well, you can't. And I couldn't figure out why at first, but I'm like, oh, because you're logged in as a parent, not your student. It needs to be your child's vote. Allow selection of multiple choice. So can they pick more than, one? Add other so that they can type in a response, or anonymous poll so teachers cannot see who's voted. So maybe it's something that you don't want to see who voted. You can actually make it anonymous. Go ahead and hit next. It says the question can't be blank. We'll just put it like that. That's what it looks like. Do we like it? Publish. Want to keep as a draft, don't publish yet. I'm going to go ahead and publish right now because it doesn't really matter. Display pool results. So after the user votes, after the pool closes, or never display results, up to you what you want to do on that. I usually just do it after they vote so they can see what's going on. Pool is open, so forever to a certain date, up to you. Ask user to respond via pop-up. I don't do that. Like I said again, I don't like anything that's pushing them out of class pages. I like to keep them just right in class pages. Pull block, publish to a new content block, or use existing content block. In this case, I don't have one that's already created, so I'm creating a content block from that activities tab. What I want to call it, put in your title, which page do you want it located on. We'll go with this one. Where do you want it placed? And publish. So now here it is listed here. And then if I go to pages, and I need to go to from Mrs. Dean. Here's that poll. They'll be able to respond, and then they'll be able to see the results. So pretty cool options. There's a ton that you can do. There's probably things that I'm missing or I could go even further with, but I know it's summer and we all have lots of things to do. So if you guys have any questions, any help with anything, you want me to go into more detail on anything, please let me know, and I'd be definitely more than willing to help anyone with whatever you need. Class pages is something I feel pretty strongly about, and I think it's really an amazing tool for us to be able to have and definitely use. I will tell you, out of all my families that used it during our shutdown, they all said how they like it so much more than Google Classroom. So definitely get in, play around. Don't forget to do your little assignments so you can get credit for this class. Have a great summer, guys.